hey sister, you can't wear shorts because God don't like that, and you're not gonna make it to heaven if you wear shorts.
Hey, it's me.
Hi, welcome to my channel. So I like to do social commentary and just, yap about different things. And today I'm going to be yapping about modesty. Now, before we get started, I want to get into our verse of the day. The verse of the day is Proverbs 31, verse 25. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs for the future that is to come. So, welcome to this video. First things first, modesty. I don't know how people define modesty nowadays, but modesty essentially is this idea that you dress in a way where it's really elegant, it's clean, and you kind of just keep most things to yourself. The reason this video was inspired, I saw this video on my TikTok feed, which I'm about to show you guys. And when I saw the video, I was like, okay, I kind of get what the girl is getting at, but I kind of don't like how she's getting at it. And so a lot of the video is just going to be unpacking some of the downsides of modesty or modest culture, because I do think that modest culture should be a lot kinder, but it doesn't feel like it is. It feels like there's a lot of judgment within modesty culture, and within like women who are modest, it feels like there's a lot of judgment when they're looking on the outside. So I'm going to show you guys that video. Here it is. Okay, so in that video, she makes a very clear comparison of, what women dress like today and then how she wishes she could dress. Now, the reason I found this video interesting is because it was tagged like Christian modesty, which I use TikTok, and sometimes I like to look at other Christian women to kind of get inspiration of how to dress, because I'm learning how to be modest myself. So this, of course, came up on my For You page because TikTok is like, hey, you seem like you'd be interested in modesty, so here you go. And I am interested in modesty, but what I don't like about this video is it kind of feels like it punches down on the women of today. Like, oh, women of today, they wear crop tops and mini skirts, but I'm just a girl. I want to wear Bridgerton type clothes. Like, it just feels like trying to create this distinction, almost as if modesty creates this hierarchy within women. Like, oh, well, since I'm a modest woman, I'm better than you. And I guess that's my first point. My first point or downside of modest culture is it feels like if you're modest or you present yourself as a modest person, that makes you better than people who aren't. And I disagree. I think at one point or another, everybody's fashion sense will change. And I do believe that sometimes as we get older, we do become more modest and XYZ. And I just think that if someone isn't modest, that doesn't make them like any worse than me or any better than me. Like, if I'm a modest woman and you're not, there's no difference between us just because of that. Like, I don't have a moral high ground, but I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to modesty and femininity, which that's a whole nother video coming soon, there's this moral high ground that comes into play, because it kind of creates this or not even creates, it kind of replicates the mindset of this is what a woman is supposed to look like. And since I embody what a woman looks like and you don't, I'm better than you. And this video kind of made me think of that, and that was the whole purpose of like, I kind of want to talk about modesty just a little bit. I just want to yap just a little bit. But that's like the first downside. I don't like that modest culture has oftentimes been used to differentiate who is better and who is not. And we see that all throughout society and throughout history, because when you think about like the I do not know history, but when you think about like the 1900s or 1800s, it was very clear to differentiate who was a part of society and who was outside of society, and a lot of that was through clothing. And the reason this is important is because if you could not afford to have certain types of clothing, or let's say if you could not afford to have a white wedding dress, you were perceived a certain way, and you were also just perceived to not be modest and to not be elegant and to not be clean, and it really just had a lot to do with social status. Now, nowadays, I don't think being modest shows you have more social status than others, because it's honestly very easy to find modest clothing in Walmart or in Forever 21 or wherever you may shop. So modesty is a lot more accessible now. But back then, if you could not have access to that type of clothing, not only were you deemed immodest, but you were deemed outside of society. And I just think that's something that's really interesting. And I am happy it's changed. I'm happy that I'm able to have access to any type of clothes that I want to wear. Of course, I try to access my clothes as sustainably as possible, just because fast fashion is crazy, guys. But yeah, I think that society has come far in that sense, but it feels like a lot of the time our generation, and I say our generation because if you're on TikTok, it feels like the Gen Zs and some millennials are kind of just trying to bring us back to this whole point of, oh, well, being a woman looks like this and being a woman looks like that. And if you don't look like that, you're not doing it right, and XYZ. And quite frankly, I think you should look how you want to look, but if you're a Christian and you feel the call to be modest, then be modest. And if you're not a Christian and you want to be modest, be modest. Like, dress how you want to dress. Some people are modest because they want to honor themselves, and it might have nothing to do with religion, and I can respect that. Now, I personally am modest because not only do I want to honor God, but I want to honor myself as well, and I've grown from how I used to view myself. But I think that there could be a lot of different reasons to be modest. But I also think if somebody is not modest, we should not look down on them. We should not punch down on them, and we should not act like we're better. Like, me being modest does not make me better than you. It doesn't. So now we're going to get into our next point. And I think that sometimes people cannot accept the fact that modesty looks different for everybody. And I saw this video. It's a cute little video. I'm about to show it to you guys. And that is what inspired this point.
She's not a Christian!
She could be a Jew and believe in
It
God.
doesn't matter. She's tampering in dark-sided stuff.
Okay, so in this video, we see a woman. She is a Christian. I actually do follow her on TikTok because she makes different like fashion videos, and I like her videos. I like her content. But she's basically just talking about the fact how some Christians will disagree, specifically Christian women. Because one thing for sure, when we talk about modesty, 9 times out of 10, this conversation has nothing to do with men. The conversation of modesty has nothing to do with men. I feel like when it comes to discussing how someone dresses and oh, how you dress determines how you perceived by the world, that has always been concerning women. No one typically worries about what a man wears, in my opinion, unless you're like a queer presenting man. Then yeah, they might worry about what a man wears. But other than that, most men can get by wearing just about anything, and nobody's gonna call them like a slut or anything like that. Whereas for a woman, you wear something a little too short or a little too cropped or a little too tight, and next thing you know, you're being slut shamed. And I mean, I don't want to say that's okay, but that's just kind of the world we live in, and it sucks. It does suck. And I think this is kind of an example of the fact that, like, even though she's a Christian woman and she's going through her own journey of modesty, she's going to be judged by other people within that realm because they think, well, you don't fit my standards of what a modest woman looks like, so you're doing it wrong. And I just think that's like so unfair because at the end of the day, there are some Christian women or some people who dress modestly who can't wear crop tops. And it's not even like they don't want to, but maybe they just feel like, you know what, a crop top is showing too much skin and I don't feel comfortable wearing a crop top, or I don't feel comfortable wearing shorts. And I respect that and I get that completely 100%. But I do not think that it's fair to decide how you govern yourself is how other people should be governed too. Like, for example, I'm sober. I do not drink alcohol anymore. I do not smoke weed anymore. I used to do those things. But since I stopped doing those things, I'm not going to go to people who do those things and tell them, hey, you're wrong and you need to stop doing this because it's the XYZ. Like, no. I'll share my experience with it, but I'm never going to police people to change their lifestyle based on how I change my lifestyle. And I think this is kind of what that is. I feel like me personally, as a modest woman, I do not wear crop tops, at least not right now. And I've honestly never really felt comfortable wearing crop tops. Like, I think the only time you might catch me in a crop top is at the gym, and even then, I still feel uncomfortable. The main reason I feel uncomfortable, though, is just because of body image issues, not necessarily because of, I don't feel like I'm disrespecting my temple. I just think I feel perceived, and I hate feeling perceived. But when it comes to like shorts and stuff, I still wear shorts. I don't wear booty shorts, but I do wear shorts. And I think since I wear shorts and I feel governed and I feel it's okay for me to wear shorts, it wouldn't be fair for like someone else to come to me and be like, "Hey sister, you can't wear shorts because God don't like that, and you're not going to make it to heaven if you wear shorts." Like, what? Did he tell you that? He told you that about me? About little old me? He told you I can't wear shorts. So, no, we should not be doing that. We should not be telling people what to do based off of our own convictions. A conviction should be personal, it should not be wide cast and put on everybody else. All right, that's my opinion. And point three, modest culture seems to always find something wrong. I'm going to show you guys a video that inspired this point and then explain more because there's more outside of the video. Okay, so this creator is Talitha Jane. If I remember correctly, she has a YouTube channel. She's big on TikTok, big on Instagram. I've actually been following her on TikTok and Instagram for a long time, and she was someone who I just always had mad respect for. She's a beautiful Black woman, one. She's a Christian, and she's just very outspoken, but like in a respectful way. I don't know, I just like her. I like her a lot, right? Um, so recently she did have like a come to Christ moment where God was like, "Hey, you need to clean up the way you dress." And that's great. I think as sisters in Christ, we should be celebrating for her and we should be so happy for her because like, okay, yay, like you got a conviction and you're following through on it. And that's what you would expect the comments to be, right? Well, if that's what you expected, you're wrong. That's not what the comments were. There were comments. One, I'm gonna tell y'all the multiple problems people had. But the first problem people had with this video of hers is that she recorded herself in these modest clothing and then uploaded or immodest clothing and then uploaded the video. So people were like, "Oh well, if God called you to be modest, why are you still posting videos of you in your immodest clothes? Like that's not right. Like you're not obeying God. You're not obeying like what He told you. XYZ." That was the first problem people had, which is like, oh my gosh, semantics. Like, well, not even semantics, but it's like she's still following through on the conviction. If anything, I think she's kind of just showing us examples of what she finds to be immodest clothing. And I don't think there's a big issue with that she's showing us what she used to wear. I personally don't think there's a big issue, but a lot of people disagreed. Second thing that people had issue with, she's giving the clothes away. Now you might be like, wait, why would they have an issue with her giving the clothes away and she's giving it away for free? Because let me make it clear, she was giving the clothes away for free. It wasn't like she was selling it. She gave away her clothes for free. People had an issue with this because they're like, oh, well, if God has called you to be modest, why would you give away these immodest clothes to other people? And now you're like essentially condemning them and you're putting them down the wrong path and you're not being a good role model, which we know that what comes with the platform is being a role model, and the bigger your audience gets, the bigger role you play in people's lives. Okay, I get that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with her giving away her immodest clothes because, one, clothes is a big part of like the waste that we have in the world right now. And throwing this away would not benefit the world. It wouldn't really benefit anybody if she threw it away. I think by giving it away, it does benefit people who could use clothes, and there are people who still dress this way. And if they're able to get something out of it, like out of her journey, I don't see the issue with that. Now, obviously, the hope is that other people would see like the conviction she's had, and maybe other people will be like, maybe I can be modest, or maybe I could try modesty and XYZ. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's an issue with her giving away her immodest clothing. I've been through a closet clean out myself. I'm honestly cleaning out my closet every 3 months, just making sure if there's anything God convicts me on that maybe He didn't convict me on last time. And every time I clean my closet out, I take my stuff to the thrift store and I thrift it. Like I give it away to be thrifted so that somebody else can hopefully find new life or new purpose out of my old clothes. Because at the end of the day, one, money was spent on it, and two, if I throw that clothes away, it's going to end up in a landfill somewhere. It's not probably not going to degrade for like another 30, 40 years. Like it makes more sense to let someone else have a use out of it versus throwing it away. So these are my gripes with modest culture. These are some of the things that I see in modest culture that I don't think is right, that I think could be changed. I think we could learn to be kinder to other women as they go through their own modesty journeys. And even if they're not on a modesty journey, I think we should be kinder to women and not judge them if they dress differently than us or if they show more skin than we do or XYZ. I think as women, it makes sense to embrace women and to love women. And with time, everybody grows and everybody changes. I think as a community and as Christians, we could learn to be a bit kinder, and we could also learn to sometimes keep our mouths shut. Because I think if it's not biblical, sometimes it has to be okay to not say anything. If what you're saying is not rooted in the word and it's not going to encourage somebody, if it's possible what you're saying might push somebody away from God, maybe you should make sure you don't say it. So if you made it this far, I just want to thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed the video. And I want to know, what do you think about modest culture? Do you think modesty is a real thing? Is it possible to even define modesty in our modern world? I want to know what you guys think down below. And I just want to hear your stories, your comments, whatever it may be. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye, babies.